أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
Go the other way.
حيا على
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد، يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقائدنا ومعلمنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: ومن جاهد فإنما يجاهد لنفسه إن الله لغني عن العالمين. وقال تعالى: والذين لا يجدون إلا جهدهم. All praise is due to Allah. We seek His blessings, His mercy, His guidance, His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil within ourselves and from the evil of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, there is no one to lead astray. And whomsoever Allah leaves to go astray, there is no one to guide him. I bear witness there is no one worthy of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is His servant and His messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, upon his family, his companions, and all those who follow them until the last day. O you who believe, revere Allah as you should be revered and do not die except in a state of surrender. Beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran. He states that whoever strives, then he strives only for himself. Truly Allah is beyond need of the world. And in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to those who find nothing to exert, nothing to spend except their efforts. When we reflect on the way that we can benefit our community, young or old, and we see today we have a number of our youth today, so I want you to listen very closely, because this is how you can contribute to your community. That our faith It encourages us to be in a state of service towards others. This is something that you will find very clear in the Quran, many examples, in the ahadith, in the lives of the Sahaba, of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in terms of being in a state of service towards others. When we read the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is related in Al-Mu'jam al-Kabir, the Tabarani, عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن رجلا جاء إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله أي الناس أحب إلى الله وأي الأعمال أحب إلى الله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أحب الناس إلى الله تعالى أنفعهم للناس. Ibn Umar related that a man once came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked him, O Messenger of Allah, which people are the most beloved of people to Allah? And which actions or deeds are the most beloved of deeds to Allah? And the response of the Prophet ﷺ is very telling, because it tells us what is one of the foundations or what is at the core of our faith. Because at the end of the day, we all are seeking the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ultimately, as believers, that's how we should be. In everything that we do, we seek the love and the pleasure of Allah. So when this man comes and asks the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, who are the most beloved of people to Allah? And the Prophet ﷺ, he responded, أنفعهم للناس. Because we have a lot of people with us today, please fill in any of the gaps, move forward. If you find spaces on the sides, fill in those spaces and those gaps, please. So when the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the most beloved of people to Allah are those who benefit others the most, أنفعهم للناس. How is it that we can benefit others? How is it that we can be in a state of service towards others? Because this is a sign of our faith. What is the basis of service towards others? What does it mean for somebody to volunteer themselves? When you become a volunteer, what are you offering? You're offering anything that you have the capacity to offer. Whether it's your time, whether it's your efforts, whether it's your expertise, whether it's your knowledge. But the idea behind that is there's a sense of giving towards others. And the basis of this, in Arabic, it's called an ithar. An ithar. What is an ithar? An ithar is when a person prefers others over themselves. So you have some free time to spend. Instead of spending it for yourself, you spend it on others, whether it's towards your family, or whether it's towards your masjid, or whether it's towards your community, or whether it's towards some other form of charity or whatnot. That you're preferring someone else to you. That is an ithar. And the beautiful thing about this word ithar, it comes from the same root word as athar. Because you're leaving your trace, you're leaving your mark, you're leaving an impression. When you give from yourself, even though you might need something, and we'll speak about this in a moment. Imam al-Qurtubi defines for us what is al-ithar. فقال الإمام القرطبي رحمه الله الإيثار هو تقديم الغير على النفس في حظوظها الدنيوية رغبة في الحظوظ الدينية وذلك ينشأ عن قوة اليقين وتوكيد المحبة والصبر على المشقة. So Imam al-Qurtubi defines for us what is ithar. It's to prefer someone over yourself, that you put forward whatever it is that you have, you put forward towards others in spite of yourself. And so then this is talking about fi hudud al-dunyawiyya. So this is in terms of things that are related to the dunya. Why? So this for the sake of your deen. In order so that you can attain some benefit, that is we're talking about in the long term, for your deen and for your akhirah. That's why it's imperative and it's important that if you have the sense of ithar and you're going to act according to it, you have your intention straight. You're doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So an ithar is altruism. It's altruism. That's what al-ithar is. And so there are different levels of this. And so Imam al-Qurtubi, he says that the way that you attain this ithar is based on three things. This is what's the source of it. What's the basis of your altruism? He said it's based on, first of all, having a sense of certainty. The strength of the certainty within you. That whatever you're going to do for the sake to help others, that there's ultimately a benefit that's going to come to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you're doing it for His sake. So there's a sense of certainty. There is a benefit. And I'm certain, I have a sense of yaqeen, that there's going to be some benefit that will be derived in me preferring others over myself. In me volunteering my time. In me volunteering my knowledge or my expertise or my efforts, whatever it may be. That's the first. And then tawqeed al-mahabba. This is an affirmation. It is an assertion of love. Because when you want to give to someone, when you want to give to your community, that's a sign of your love for your community. It's a sign of love for others. Why? Because you're preferring them over yourself. And so it's an affirmation, it's an assertion. Tawqeed al-mahabba, of that love. And then it also includes as-sabr ala al-mashaqqa. You got to be patient and persevere because it's not always easy. There might be some difficulties that come out of that. There might be some sacrifices that you have to make. There's a price to pay. But at the end of the day, because of your love and because you have a sense of certainty that there's going to be a benefit derived from it, you go in that direction. You give. You volunteer. You're in the service of others. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in a hadith, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, ومن يسر على معسر يسر الله عليه في الدنيا والآخرة والله في عون العبد ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. That whoever alleviates a difficulty, because there might be some need for someone, and you alleviate that need, you alleviate that difficulty, even if it's just something slight, you make it a little bit easier for them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will alleviate your difficulties and will remove from your hardships, both in this world and in the hereafter. Because Allah is in the aid of the one who is in aid of his fellow brother. Whether it's brother in the faith or whether it's brother in humanity, brother or sister. That there is the sense of ithar, there's the sense of sacrifice or giving from yourself in preference to others. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he mentions that the ithar, it comes from three things. قال الإمام ابن القيم الجوزي رحمه الله في باب ذكر ما يعين على الإيثار فيبعث عليه. What's going to help you to get this sense of ithar and to act according to it? So he says three things. الأول تعظيم الحقوق فإن من عظمت الحقوق عنده قام بواجبها ورعاها حق رعايتها واستعظم إضاعتها. So he says, rahimahullah, that the first thing that is going to help you get this sense of ithar, that's going to help you to have this sense of altruism and to act according to it, is, first of all, to understand the greatness of the huquq of the others. Other people have rights over you. Your community has a right over you. Your masjid has a right over you, that you serve it, that you contribute. When you understand the greatness of those rights, and how great those rights are of others, then you're going to strive. You're going to be able to exert as much effort as you can in order to fulfill the rights of others. And you're concerned of losing the other's rights. You're concerned about that right being lost. And so this is the ta'zim al-huquq. When you have, somebody has a right over you, then that is going to drive you to have that sense of preference of the other over yourself. It's going to drive you in that direction. Because you understand they have rights over you. Your Muslim brother and sister has a right over you. Your community has a form of a right over you. That you be in a state of service. So that you're going to give it its full due, its word. When you understand the greatness of that right. That's the first thing. الثاني مقت الشح فإنه إذا مقته وأبغضه التمس الإيذاء. The second is that you're going to have a detestation. You're going to despise. Shuh. What is shuh? Shuh is a sense of miserliness. Shuh has to do with being stingy. And it's different from bukhl. Because bukhl has to do with wealth or money. Al-bukhl fil mal. Wa-shuh fil mali wal-ma'ruf. That the difference between bukhl and shuh is that bukhl is related to financial or monetary wealth. Whereas shuh is actually even more encompassing. Because it doesn't only include wealth, it includes ma'ruf. It includes even doing good towards others. If you're holding back and you're miserly and you're stingy, that's what shuh is. Not just in your wealth, but in terms of the ma'ruf. Whatever good you can offer towards those who are around you, that's shuh. And the Prophet ﷺ warned us against it when he said, اتق الشح فإن الشح أهلك من كان قبلك من قبلك. That beware of shuh, because shuh is something that destroyed the peoples that came before you. Because it drove people to spill bloodshed. It drove people towards bloodshed. Why? Because they're greedy. It would drive a person, that sense of holding on or hoarding, or you don't want to give. That can lead to your greediness. That can lead to even then harming others or violating other people's rights because you want to have it for yourself. To that degree. And the Prophet ﷺ warned us against it. It destroyed people before us because it drove people towards bloodshed, and as we see today, and it also made people make that which is unlawful lawful. Istahallu al-mahal. Istahallu al-mahal. That they made lawful that which is unlawful. And that's the result of shuh, because you have that sense of miserliness. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he warned us against it. So that's the second. That if you have a despising against shuh, against this, then that's going to drive you towards ithar. When you understand how harmful shuh is, then it's going to drive you towards having that sense of care and concern and preference towards others over yourself. والثالث الرغبة في مكارم الأخلاق وبحسب رغبته فيها يكون إيثاره لأن الإيثار أفضل درجات مكارم الأخلاق. Then the third thing that is going to help you get a sense of ithar is your desire for noble character. How much do you desire to rectify your character and to take on praiseworthy characteristics? Because we know our Prophet ﷺ had the best of characters. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. That the Prophet Allah testifies that you are on great character. You have an ethos that is vast. Your character, your manners is great. They're of the best of characters. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, I was sent only to teach noble character. And so that is the third driving factor that will have an individual allow them to have this sense of athar or ithar, the sense that's going to leave an impression on others by preferring others over themselves. And this is related to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُوا الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ يُحِبُّونَ مَنْ هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. That Allah says in the Quran about those who, when they settled in the city, in Medina, that from the Muhajirin, when they emigrated from Mecca to Medina, and then they settled in the city, and that those who had embraced the faith before they came, because there was a group of the Ansar in Medina who accepted the message of our Prophet ﷺ before he arrived, that they had accepted the message of Islam before the Muhajirin, they arrived in Medina. And so Allah is referring to them in this verse, that the faith they had embraced the faith before the arrival of the immigrants. They loved those who immigrated to them. That when the Muhajirin came, they showed a sense of love towards them. never having in their hearts a desire for whatever material gain was given to them in order to help them out. They didn't have this attachment in their hearts for the dunya. And they see that this dunya is being given to the immigrants to help them out. Their hearts aren't attached to it. They don't feel that within themselves. But then it goes to the next level. They give preference over themselves to them, even though they are in need. وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Look at the level of the altruism here. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. They give preference to the immigrants over themselves, even though they might be in need. And the Prophet ﷺ, he witnessed this, and he was the one ﷺ, who, when this verse was revealed, there was actually a story that was related to this. That one of the Ahl al-Suffa, these are some of the Muhajirin, or some of the poor of Medina, but they used to live in a certain area of the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. They were known as Ahl al-Suffa. There were around 80 of them. And so they were all poor. And so one of the Ansar, the helpers of Medina, came and took one of these Muhajirin from Ahl al-Suffa. And he took him to his house, and he went before and he checked with his wife. He said, what food do we have to give? For we have somebody that is in need. And she said, we don't have anything other than the food that's for our own children. And so then the man, he said, okay, put the kids to sleep. And then when we come in, serve the food, but then turn up the lights. Put out the fire so that he can't see. And so then he did this. And the Ahl al-Suffa, the Muhajir from Ahl al-Suffa, who was in a state of need, he ate from the food. And the host, they didn't eat, and nor did they have the food for their children. Why did that Ansari do that? And so then when he came out, and then he related to the Prophet ﷺ, this is what happened. The Prophet ﷺ, before he was able to relate, he said that the people, or those who are in heaven, not the people, but those who are in heaven are in a state of wonder about what you two did yesterday. They're in a state of wonder because it's showing that strength of brotherhood because of giving preference from oneself over to the other. That those who are in heaven are in a state of wonder over what you did. And that's when this verse was revealed. This verse was revealed because of that story. They are the ones who are truly successful. Who? The one who struggled against themselves from the shuh, from that holding back. We know the Sahaba, they did this. Who are the best of the Sahaba? There's no one better than Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar, radiallahu anhu. They're the best of the Sahaba. And we know that they used to compete. There was a story that is related by Ibn Asakir. And he said that Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he used to take care of an old blind woman on the outskirts of Medina at night. So Umar would go to the outskirts of Medina and he would go to the house of this old blind woman. And he would take care of her needs. Bring water for her, or water for her matters, and he would take care of her. And so he would come, but often when he would come, he would find that somebody was already there. Somebody beat him to it. And Umar would wonder who would be coming. So one of these nights, he went earlier, in order to watch to see who's coming. And it was no one other than Abu Bakr. At that point, Umar said, Antahu. You're the one, by my life. He's swearing by his life. I knew it was you. It was Abu Bakr who would come and serve the needs of this old lady. Before Abu Bakr became the Khalifa, he used to milk the sheep of the certain houses of the people of Medina. And so then when he became Khalifa, he was once walking through the marketplaces, and this was immediately after he became the Khalifa. So a young woman, she said, alas for us, who's going to milk our sheep now? What did Abu Bakr respond? He responded, he said, no, I will continue to milk your sheep for you, because I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this new matter that I have taken, that has come upon me, the khilafah, I pray to Allah that it does not change me in terms of what I used to do, in terms of who I am. And this is where Umar learned to do this from. He learned it from Abu Bakr, that sense of service and volunteering from his time and from his efforts. But he would do it at night. And this is something that Umar radiallahu anhu continued into his khilafah. One of the Sahaba, Talha, he once saw Umar going out at night, and he would go into this house, and then he'd come out, and then he'd go into another house, and then he'd come out, and then he'd go back to his own house. So Talha was wondering, what's he doing? What is Amir al-Mu'mineen doing? And so then the next morning he went to one of the houses that he saw Umar at, knocks on the door, and then who opens it? A blind woman, old woman. And he said, who comes to you at night? And he said, oh, just some person who comes and he just helps me out with my things. He helps me out. He's the Khalifa. He's the Amir al-Mu'mineen. And the woman doesn't even know it. The old woman who's blind, she doesn't even know who it is. And then Talha, at this point, he blames himself. Are you trying to follow and trying to look at, and seeing if there are any shortcomings in Umar? He's blaming himself now. But this is who Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu was. This is who Umar radiallahu anhu was. That when the Prophet said, when Umar, he said that if the faith of Abu Bakr were placed on one side of the scale and the faith of the entire Ummah were placed on the other side of the scale, the faith of Abu Bakr would outweigh the faith of the Ummah. The faith of Abu Bakr, one man, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, outweighs the faith of every other member of this Ummah. لو وزن إيمان أبي بكر بإيمان أهل الأرض لرجح به. Who is Umar رضي الله عنه؟ في حديث قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لو كان بعدي نبي لكان عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه. The Prophet said, if there were a prophet that were to come after me, it would be Umar ibn al-Khattab. That's from the Prophet. And so, when the Prophet gave us a piece of advice, this is in a hadith, عن حذيفة. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اقتدوا بالذين من بعد وأشار إلى أبو بكر وعمر رضي الله عنه. That the Prophet he said from Hudayfa, follow these two men after me. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and he pointed to Umar. This is the example who our Prophet left us with. And this is the example of the greatest of the believers, of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Umar ibn al-Khattab. And so when we follow in their example in any capacity that we can, whatever you have to offer, offer it. Whatever you have to offer, young or old, this is for everyone. Put in the service, offer, volunteer. Prefer others over yourself. That's what it is. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم سائر المسلمين من كثير فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. There was a scholar who lived in the 4th century. His name was Ibrahim ibn Shayban. And his son Ishaq once came and asked his father. He said, بماذا أصل إلى الورع? How is it that I can achieve a state of wara? What is wara? Wara has to do with when a person leaves those things which give him doubt, when a person does that which they only have a sense of certainty in order so that they don't fall into haram, in order so they're going above and beyond. It's not just leaving the haram, it's even leaving that which gives you doubt. Being certain or doing things in a state of certainty. It's a scrupulousness. This is what al-wara it has to do with. It has to do with even struggling against themselves. حمل النفس على المشقة or على الشق. That sometimes it's not easy. You're going to leave those things that there's a little bit of doubt in it. It might not be easy to do that, but you do it anyway. Why? So that this is wara. This is scrupulousness. So his son asks, بماذا أصل إلى الورع? How do I reach the state of scrupulousness? And so he said, بأكل الطعام بأكل الحلال وخدمة الفقراء. He said, by eating that which is pure, halal, and by serving the poor. And so his son Ishaq, he said, وَمَنِ الفقراء? Who are the poor? And so his father replied, الخلق كلهم. الفقراء الخلق كلهم. That the poor is everyone and everything in creation. They're fuqara. Who are they faqir to? They're faqir to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the reality. So what does he say? بِخِدْمَةِ الْفُقَرَاء is to serve the people who are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is everything. There's nothing in the universe that is not in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're all considered as fuqara. But then he said, فَلَا تَمْنُنْ فِي خِدْمَةِ مَنْ مَكَّنَكَ مِنْ خِدْمَتِهِ وَعْرِفْ فَضْلَهُ عَلَيْهِ فِيهَا عَلَيْكَ وَعْرِفْ فَضْلَهُ عَلَيْكَ فِيهَا فَلَا تَمْنُنْ فِي خِدْمَةِ مَنْ مَكَّنَكَ مِنْ خِدْمَتِهِ وَعْرِفْ فَضْلَهُ عَلَيْكَ فِيهَا. That don't feel a sense of favor that when you're doing something for someone else, realize that they're doing you a favor by allowing you to serve them, and know the virtue that is in them because of it. Now this is from the perspective of the one who's doing the service. It shouldn't be the perspective of the one who's receiving the service. So that if you go in to help somebody out, and then they're like, hey, I'm doing you a favor by letting you help me. No. We don't go in that direction. But rather the perspective is, if you're in a state of volunteering, you're in a state of service, then you should be grateful for those who you're serving, because they're actually doing you a favor by allowing you, by being a means for you to serve them. That's the perspective that we should have when it comes to ithar, when it comes to volunteering, when it comes to service towards others. And for those who are receiving the service, you're grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. And so that way there is this ta'awun, there is this cooperation, there is this collaboration. You're helping each other out. That's what this ta'awun is. So when we look at the masjid here, the markaz, there are many different ways that you can help out here in the masjid. There are many different ways that you can serve the community here. When it comes to, for example, janazah preparation, there needs some volunteers here to learn, for example, how to prepare bodies for janazah. When it comes to the kitchen duties, very basic, something that is so simple, but volunteer, serve. That's going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit the masjid, especially on Thursdays and Fridays. We have Ramadan, the blessed month of Ramadan is coming up. So many opportunities to volunteer and to serve your masjid. Whether it's for setting up for dinners, or whether it's for setting up for special events, or cleaning up after the Ramadan dinners. Something very basic, very simple, but there's so much reward in it. But remember, you're doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need volunteers. The masjid here needs volunteers for, whether it's to organize for Eid, or for parking during Eid, or cleanup, or setup. Any types of special events that happen in the masjid. Volunteer for children's program. Volunteers for women program. Programs that are geared towards the women, or seniors, or children. All of these different aspects require volunteers. You want to make a stronger commitment, you can even volunteer to become a board member for those who have are eligible. But that's a much firmer commitment. But regardless, in terms of whichever way you can serve or volunteer, do so. Alhamdulillah. The masjid here, there is a need, and you can fulfill that need in whichever way that you can. There are seats outside that you can sign up your name. Leave your information. That if you're interested in volunteering, what can you volunteer in? What are some of the areas that you'd be able to help in? Even if you don't know, just sign up your name. And when the time comes, you'll be called upon. And when you're called upon, take that as an honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That you're being a means or a medium for being able to contribute and to help within your community. This is the type of spirit that we need to have as a community. And so put forth from your efforts, put forth from your wealth, put forth from your time, put forth from your exertion, so that you can benefit your community, and by doing so you benefit yourself. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا ربنا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين واشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وانصر إخواننا المستضعفين المظلومين في كل مكان وانصرهم في مشارق الأرض وفي مغاربها يا رب العالمين والطف بنا وبجميع أمة نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الطف بنا وبهم فيما جرت به المقادير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم فرج عن هم المهمومين المهمومين، واكشف الكرب عن المكروبين، واقض الدين عن المدينين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقيموا الصلاة والحمد لله رب العالمين.